All right. So, as I was saying, I said you want to do something over and over again, we use iteration. Now, in Python, we have, should I say, not Python, in programming generally, all programming languages, all programming languages, except for a few. And I think that is maybe beyond the scope of this class. We have what we call in programming or in mathematics, we have something we call Turing complete. I don't want to dive into that because a lot of people would not understand what I'm talking about. But generally, most programming languages, I mean, have what's the name? This concept of iteration. So if you learn about iterations in Python now, you can apply the same concepts to what? To JavaScript. Or you can apply the same concept to what? To C sharp or to C++ or to Java or to Go or to Rust. It doesn't, what's the name? Um, it doesn't matter what language what you are using. Do you understand? Iteration is iteration in all programming languages. Do you understand? So now, so today I will be walking us through that concept, the concept of what? Iterations. And how are we going to use it in Python? And not just how to use it in Python, but where and what we can use iterations from. So I'll share my screen now, and I would give an example, and we would all take an exercise right in this live coding session. Everybody would try it from their own end. Now, again, I want everybody to have their replits updated. Do you understand? If you don't have your replits updated, you can raise your hand. Let me know so I can actually um, paste the updated version of the replits. Okay, good, good. Okay, good. Um, who? Okay, good. Just okay, good. Can you see my screen? Hello, can you see my screen? All
Yes, sir.
right. Sorry, a minute. Okay, thank you. David, I just I pasted the yesterday's code. Can you paste it to the group? That's to the Slack channel now, so everybody can update. What's the name? What we did yesterday. Can you paste it on the Slack channel, David? Okay, if David is not there, can somebody do that for me? Somebody should paste it on the Slack channel. So
Okay,
every
sir.
other person. All right, good. So David is doing it now. So everybody can have access to it. So good. So today we'll talk about the two types of iterations we have in Python, or basically the two types of iterations we have in Python. Now, the first one is what we call the for loop. Now, I will just give us an overview today, and hopefully, I would also introduce us to either of one of the two of them, right? Now, what I always tell people when I'm teaching them this concept is that take note, for loop and what's the name? While loop, they function, or should I say, they do the same thing. They function the same way. You can use a for loop wherever you want to use a while loop. What is a for loop? Let me explain. Let me just create an iteration.py. Iteration. Kolade, if you have any question along the line, if you don't understand something, please kindly um raise your hand or something. I'll be there every time to guide you. Does that make sense? Don't be shy or don't keep quiet. We are all equals here. Do you understand? So, in case you want to ask any question or you don't understand what we did yesterday, we pasted the code already. If you don't understand, just draw my attention to it immediately, and I'm always there to help you out. So good. That being said, So in iterations, we are talking about iterations. In Python, we have two types. Now, the keyword here is while, and the keyword here is what? For. You understand? Now, let me give a typical example of what I'm saying. Again, take note that in Python, we have two types of iterations. Again, in Python, or should I say, we can use iterations in two ways. The first way is using what? For loops. And the second way is using what? While loops. Now, what are for loops and what are while loops? They are both keywords. For is a keyword. Likewise, while is also what? A keyword in Python. So, as I said before, both of them are used for the same purpose. Now, let me give you an example. Now, I want to print all the numbers between 1 to 10. How do I do that? That is all the numbers from what? 1 to 10. Now, let me give you a very crude way of doing it. Now, we could do it in this is the first method. And I want you guys to see the, the flaws with this. So I want to say print 1 to 10. I can say print 1. Am I correct? Print 2. And copy this and paste
Excuse
it
me, sir.
10 times.
Excuse me, sir.
Use the hand button if so I would know who is speaking. Please mute yourself.
I, that is about Tunde.
Yeah, I know. I would attend to you soon, please.
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen.
No, sir.
Can any other person not see my screen? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So Babatunde, I would advise you log off and log back on. Again, guys, look at it. I want to print 1 to 10. This is the first method we want to use, right? And I believe everyone is following me because as we are coding along, I would what's the name? Give task as you are coding along. So please kindly code along. Follow through what I'm doing. Because once I'm done with this, I'm going to give a simple task everybody should do. So please code along as I'm typing. You should be either writing in your notes or you're writing on your code. Makes sense? Or sorry, in your replete. Advisably replete. So good. Now look at this now. If I do this, if I print this, everybody knows what this is going to produce, right? If I do Python iterations dot what? Python. A question, Caller D. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why we do Python iterations.py?
No.
Okay. How do you run your Python file? How do you execute your Python file?
I use Visual Studio Code.
Okay, the play button.
Yeah.
All right. So behind the play button, this is what they do there. Do you understand? So they try to what the keyword when you want to execute. You just do Python. And finally you just do your what iterations.py. So iterations.py is the name of our file. What you are saying here is what you are saying. Python, I want you to execute this file called what iterations dot what dot py, and it's going to do that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Great. I have two people. I don't even know. Okay, David, you want to ask a question?
Sir, please, why can't you just run the code? Like, click the green button.
Exactly. Now, I want to ask you a question, David. Now, do you know why we are using Python iterations.py?
No,
No, no, no. Do you know what Python iterations? The question should have been, do you know what Python iterations.py does?
no.
You don't know? David, unmute yourself. Let's discuss this. Do you are you getting what I'm saying, Ato? Do you understand my question?
Yes,
I said, do you know what Python iterations.py does?
no.
When we do this, what would it do? What would it do?
Run the code.
It will run the code. If I do this, what would it do?
Also run the code.
Or can somebody give more context? I know David knows it. Maybe he's not getting the question I'm asking. Can somebody help David answer that question properly? Zainab. Zainab.
So,
Yeah, I said, why do we do Python, the name of the file.py? Why do we always do it?
so that we can run that particular file, that particular Python file.
Okay, good. Now, if we have not done this, remember that we can use this, right? Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Now, if I ask you guys, maybe after a long time, how do you run a Python file? Or I give you something that doesn't have a run button and I ask you to run the Python file, how would you have done it? Would you know what to do?
Yes.
David, would you
Yes,
know what
sir.
to do?
no.
Exactly. That is why I keep using this. It doesn't mean if I press this run button, it won't work. It will definitely work. But I'm just trying to show you that behind this run button, this is what they are doing. Do you understand? So you just don't I don't want you guys to be like the should I say a random programmer or somebody that doesn't know what they are doing. At least you know what you are doing. Do you understand? You can feel free to use this run button and anytime you want. Trust me, it works the same way. Do you understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, understanding the basics of how it's working is actually key. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that is one of the reasons why I keep using this Python iterations.py. It's not because I love to use it. And most times I always forget that there's a run button there. So if you want to use it, you are free. Feel free to use it, everyone. I just should I say I just like doing it. Look at why do I like doing it? Look at it. Kolade joined us today. Now Kolade might know why they are actually using Python and the name of the file. Do you understand? So for the sake of everybody, I'll keep using it. And also Rita would also know why they are using it. So if I'd stop using it some days ago or something or some weeks ago, I don't think the new person that just joined us might know why we do this. Does that make sense, everyone? All
Yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Anu, Temi,
So,
do you prefer to
sir,
be
can
called
you like
Temi or Anu? What do you prefer?
I prefer to
Okay, good. Okay, I'll be calling you Temi now.
sir, please could you move your screen like up? I want to see how you did it.
Yeah? Is that good?
A little more.
No, I just wrote comments up. All right, good. So now I want to.
Sir,
Okay, good. Zainab.
um, I don't understand why it's showing. what it's showing in the console.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that was yesterday's work. Don't worry, let me do this now. So are you good?
Yes, sir.
So were you in the live coding session yesterday? You were on and off, if I'm correct. Zainab. Zainab, are you there? All right. So
Yes,
I
sir.
would okay, all right. So
So
I'm
I
going
was
to
not
run
there.
the
Yeah.
someone said he was not there. Who is that?
So it's me.
Is that Victor? Oh, no, no, that's Hamza.
Like,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So we discussed elif statements yesterday. So the code is currently in the what's the name on the Slack channel, and the
Nutrition.
recording for yes. So the recording for yesterday's session will also be posted soon. So I don't want to waste so much time today. My focus for today is just to come and explain what iterations are. Do you understand? And hopefully in the next 20 minutes we should be done. I can assure you that in the next 20 minutes we would be done. So I just want everybody to understand why we need iterations and why we use them. So does this make sense? Now, if I print this now, so iterations.py, Python iterations.py, and I do this, it's going to print 1 to 10 for me. Am I correct? Did everybody see that? Hello, guys.
Yes, sir.
Thumbs up if you've seen
Yes,
it. All right, thank you. Is Nifemi back? Nifemi, are you there? Is Nifemi here? All
Okay,
right, good. So
I mean,
now,
a few minutes ago.
okay, okay, all right. Now I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you guys to print 1 to 100 with this same style. Can you do that? Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want you to print 1 to 100.
sizing now.
Yes, now in your code, I want to see it. Just continue
So
from
I'm not
10.
done copying the code. Lisa, can you
You don't
move
need to
your screen a
see
little?
the focus is not to copy the code. The focus is to understand. If I ask you to copy the, don't you know what print is doing? You should be able to do it now. Do you understand?
Not print. I was just copying what you.
All I wrote here was my explanation. So this is where the code started from. So feel free and please be fast.
Sorry. Is this the only thing you've done? So I
Yeah,
can
that's the
also
only
copy it.
that's
Okay.
the only thing I've done so far. So now the task is to print 1 to 100. Remember that we print 1 to 10. So just continue from 10 and print 100. You said, which means it's stressful.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So that's the point. For those that are trying to print it, you can stop. I do not intend for you guys to print anything. I just want to show you how stressful it is. Now, you said 1 to 100. 1 to 100 could be very easy to do. Now, imagine I asked you to print 1 to 1,000 doing the same thing. What would happen? Ah, if
Take
I ask
More
you
years.
to print,
stressful.
exactly. Now, if I ask you to print 1 to 1 million, how long would you type? Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, if I ask you to print 1 to what? A billion, how long would that be? It's going to take what? A lot of time. So what do we do? What do we do? Now we use what? Iterations. So let's try to use this with, let me say, should I say, let me first explain the syntax for iterations, or should I say for for loop. Now, remember that whenever we are talking about these new concepts, we always try to what first explain what the syntax looks like. So good. Now, for your for loop, do you understand? For your for loop, how do we do this? Now, there are a lot, and when I mean you have a lot of way to do it. Now, the basic way when you want to print numbers or you want to go over numbers several times is to say what for we always say for I in what in range of the numbers. Now, what's the range? Remember that what is a range? A range has what a should I say an upper bound and also what a lower bound. So we start with the lower bound. Where do we want to start from? Let's say 1
1.
and or exactly. So let me say 0 and let me say
100.
100. So we want to start from what 0 to what 0 to 100. Now, then
Print.
followed by what? Followed by the colon.
uh,
Then finally, we use
Print.
what? The statements. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. Now, I need to comment this out. Again, if you don't understand, please and please bring my attention to this almost immediately. Now, what are we trying to do here? When we say for I in range 0 to 100, now let me explain to you what I mean or what that line of code
Yes,
is
sir.
explaining to you. Now,
Yes, sir.
now let me have a number from 1 to 100, and I want to print what? 1 to 10. I mean 1 to 100. Can you hear me, guys? Hello? Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Okay, good. Now, what do I do to do this? All I just have to do if I was to print it in a number, I look at the range of number the person has given me. Now, I ask you guys, print 1 to 100. What is the range? 1 to what? 100. That is, starts from what? 1 and end at what? 100. That is the range. Does anybody understand what I just said? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Again. Okay, somebody wants to um somebody is raising their hand. Who could that be? Amza. Yes. Amza. The mic is yours.
Sir?
Sir,
Okay. I'm listening. Your hand, you raised your hand.
But sir, what does the I mean in the range?
Okay, I'm coming. I want to say for Amza, this I is just a variable. You understand? Now, what does this I mean?
Yes, sir.
This I means every number that you want to print. I can just say for number in the range of what 0 to 100 or for number in the range of 1 to 100. Does that make sense, Amza? So it could be anything. You can say I could be I. You understand? Remember, it's a variable name, but normally we need to use a variable name that was befits what we want to do. So I could have used that what number. You understand? For number in this range. Somebody is raising their hand. David, yes.
But sir, you didn't declare the variable I.
Yes, good. Thank you for asking that question. I declared the variable I, but I did not initialize the variable I. Now, what is the variable I? Where did I declare it? Now, this was the declaration. I declared it here, and for every time I want to print this number, it is automatically what? Initialized. Does that make sense, David?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, so good. Another question. That is from Nifemi. Nifemi, yes.
So, like, are there any special rules when like naming it? Like all these rules,
Okay,
like you shouldn't use characters or numbers or
the
things
same
like
the
that.
same way the same way you name your variables, that is the same way we name our variables here too. No
Okay.
exception. Do you understand? All
Yes,
the
sir.
rules that apply to what variable naming, that is what we need to apply here also, because number is a what? Is a variable. You understand? So there's no rule changing. You don't start a variable with what? With a number. You never have special character in variables. Do you understand? And all of the attributes, or should I say, all of the rules we discussed when we're talking about variables also applies here. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any other question before I continue? Dami, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
You seem very silent today. Are you busy doing something else?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, let's continue, guys. Now, again, I want you guys to do what? Jot down this syntax. Now, let me give you a trick. This syntax, I never expect anybody to understand it immediately I've explained. Yes, you might understand it now, but if I ask you in the next 2, 3 hours, you might not really get what is going on. You're, oh, I can't remember. The best way to do or to understand this is the first is to practice. Sorry, is to write it down. After writing it down, you practice. Do you understand? And when I mean you practice, you don't practice once. You practice. You practice over and over and over again. Do you understand? Again, write down the syntax if you need to write it down. If you don't have this photographic of how do they call it, just write it down. There is no shame in writing down. I also write down. When you write down, don't just write it down and close the book or close your laptop or close the file. Make sure to practice the same thing or more tedious question over and over again. So please and please, that is the best way to learn. You practice, you practice, you practice, you read, read, and practice. Thank you. Somebody wants to ask Zainab.
Sorry, I logged out for a while from when you were explaining the reason why you put the I there after
So I
for
said
I in dreams.
so the I here is just the number. I'm coming. I'll explain this to you in a bit. Now, do you all understand why we have range? Now, remember, I said this is just a way. There are many, like 1,000 way of doing this. Do you understand? Now, I would explain all of it to us. Not, I can't explain all the 1,000 ways though, but um, I will just explain as much as possible I can. Different ways you can actually implement your for loop because it depends. Um, Umar, you are trying to speak. Okay, good. Now, again, I was giving an example. In the next 10 minutes, I would be done because my intention was not to explain for loop today, but I would just try to explain so everybody would digest it. Tomorrow, we'll deal with for loop and also we'll deal with while loop. So I just want everybody to go and focus on their capstone project and also work on whatsoever they are working on. In 10 minutes, I would be done. I guarantee you that. Let me explain again the syntax. Okay. You can ask your question.
So, sir, please, I wanted to ask, like, how is this like important to, or how can like people use it in like their everyday code for when making apps and
Good.
things like that?
Now let me ask you a question. If you want to do something over and over again, like I just explained to you, you want to print 1 to 1 billion. What are you doing? You are printing. It doesn't care what you are printing, but you are printing something. Can you see? You see why you need iterations. Do you understand? Now, let me give you a very typical example. Let me say 10,000 people are playing a game together. Let's say we have a game app or a gaming app. Are you with me, Nifemi? You
Yes, sir.
created you created a gaming app. Now, at the end of the gaming app, you want to check everybody that have what scores above 90 over 100. You can do it manually. Manually by saying, one, does this have, how long would that take you? Think of it. But with iterations, all you just have to do is what? Pass all the players to a for loop or to a while loop or to an iterable. Once you do that, all you just need to do is what? It would just write your logic. If the score is greater than 90, print this, print this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what is happening?
Yes, sir.
So that is where we use it. That is just a use case. There are many, many, many other use cases that we can use what? For loop. Again, the purpose of for loop is not to repeat what you can do. Again, you see, I want to print 1 to 10. I have to print 1, 2, 3, 1 to 10 times, which is actually bad. But once I'm using a for loop, all I just have to do is print the statement. What's the statement here? Bring this statement, put it here, and it's going to do the same thing for me perfectly. Now, explaining this again, which I'll have to go through again. I said you have a number, and this is the last part of this session today. You have a number. I asked you guys to print a number. Print a number from 1 to 10. Now, if I say, if you hear from means what? You're already giving a range. That is from A to B, from 1 to 10, right? 1 is the lower bound, 10 is the what? Upper bound. That is, I want you to print from this range to, if you guys do statistics in school, when you do mean, median, mode, and all the stuff, and you do range. Range is what? Let me explain what range is. Range is what? The highest number minus the lowest number. Am I correct in statistics or in
Yes,
mathematics?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So that is, you are saying you want to print from what? From the lowest number to the highest number. Now I give you that number logically, not programmatically. Now, how could you have done it logically? All you just have to do is what? You look at the number. What is the range? 0 to 10. Sorry, 1 to 10. Then you do what? Print 1. Now, print 1. You print it. Now you do what? Print 2. That is, you are printing what? Every number in what? Between what? 1 to 10. That is what we are trying to do here. We are saying for every number between 0 to 100, do something to them. Again, for every number between 0 to 100, do something to them. Does that make sense? Hello, guys.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
What we are trying to say in line 21 here is saying what? For every number that I see between 1 to what? 100. Should I say, let me just say 1 to 100. For every number that I see what? Between what? 1 to 100. What should I do with them? Print them. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And that's how it works. While for while loop, we also have what we call while loop. So tomorrow I'm going to be explaining this. I want us to go and digest this first. And if you could make progress with this by printing 1 to 100 using this statement here, I think that would be good. Somebody wants to ask a question. Yeah, Amza.
So I want to ask that how does the Python knows is print? Like it only says for number in range of 1 to 100. How does it know it's going to? How does it know it's print?
So I can say in this statement here, I could put anything. Remember, it's a statement. A statement could be what you want your program to do for you. Remember, right? I could say print Amza. That is from number between the range of 1 to 100. Every time I want to print, I want to just print what? Amza. And how do you do it? I can just say print Amza or print something. You understand? Or I could, instead of printing Amza, I could even say do the number multiplied by 2. That is this number times 2. Anything, it's your choice, whatever you want to do with statements. Remember that statements are not just prints. Whenever you are hearing
Yes, sir.
statements, don't just think every time you need to print. Sometimes they might want you to perform a mathematical operation. They might want you to find the mean. They might want you to find the median. They might want you to find the mode. Do you understand? I think soon um I'll try to give you guys a very, very mini project apart from the one we are currently doing. And I would like this project to be on for those that are familiar with statistics. You can create a normal, or should I say, a statistic calculator that will look for the range, look for the mean, look for the median, look for the mode of a set of number. Don't worry, I would put those people that are interested through. So anytime I think would be available, I would create a document for that. So does that make sense, guys? Again, I want you to guys to go through this file again, understand the purpose of what iterations in programming. And finally, before we end today's session, I want to inform you guys, Saturday is the last day where you guys would be having the ceremony. Now, I want to ask anybody if you have any project you feel you want to showcase that for that day, you can send. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you have any project you feel you want to showcase, more like you want to showcase your calculator, maybe a simple calculator, you want to showcase a statistic calculator, or you want to showcase a diary application, or you want to showcase anything, or you want to put together all that you've learned together and create an application based on that, let me know today. And how do you let me know? Send me, or should I say, send a message to the general Slack channel, not the general, the Bitcoin Bootcamp channel, stating what you want to do. Once I know what you want to do, from tomorrow, maybe by 11 or 10, I would start helping anybody out that need help with anything. Remember, this is not your capstone project. Your capstone project still stands. But if you have something you want to showcase, because we'll be having some people that will be joining us for Saturday. So if you have anything you want to showcase to anybody, it doesn't need to be enormous. It doesn't need to be so large. Kindly go to the Bitcoin channel, tag me on the what's the name on your comment or your chat by saying this is what I want to work on. And if you need help with anything, just state it. Again, if you want to display a project on Saturday, kindly go to the Bitcoin Bootcamp channel and state the project you like to work on, and I would help you out with it if you need help. Nifemi, you can ask your question. I think
So, no, so I wanted to ask if I could stay behind. I have a blocker with the capstone project. It's like an arrow.
okay, you can stay behind. All right.
Okay, sir.
So I think that would be the end of today's session.